Listen very closely, because what the mainstream media refuses to report right now will completely change how you view the events of this week. On Tuesday night, Donald Trump delivered the longest and most powerful State of the Union address in his American history. For 1 hour and 48 minutes, the 47th president stood inside the United States Capitol and dropped hammer after hammer on the radical left. He laid out a turnaround for the ages. He celebrated the booming economy, the historic One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and massive foreign policy victories like the absolute triumph in Venezuela. He looked right at the Democrats, who sat there with bitter and angry faces, and he exposed them to the entire world. Some of them even threw temper tantrums on the floor and had to be escorted out by security. It was a flawless, undeniable victory for the America First agenda. But then something very strange happened, something the fake news networks are currently losing their minds over. After dropping the ultimate mic on national television, after securing millions of viewers and crushing his opponents on their own turf, Donald Trump went completely silent. No massive press tours, no endless victory laps on the morning cable news shows, just total, deafening silence. The talking heads are panicking. They are scrambling to figure out why a man who just gave the speech of the century would suddenly step out of the spotlight. They think he is resting. They think he ran out of steam. They are entirely wrong. There is a massive, highly calculated reason why the president went quiet right after the State of the Union. It is a strategic masterstroke that is playing out right in front of everyone. And most people have absolutely no idea what is actually happening behind closed doors. To understand this genius move, one must look at exactly what happened in that room. And the brilliant trap that was just set, the quiet period, is the absolute loudest weapon he has right now. Here is the exact breakdown of why the silence is shaking the foundation of Washington and what the administration is preparing to unleash next. Think about the oldest rule in politics and warfare. When your enemy is making a massive mistake, you do not interrupt them. You let them talk. You let them spin. You let them show their true colors to the American people. That is exactly what the president is doing right now. By stepping back and holding back from interviews, he has forced the corrupt media to do something they absolutely hate. He has forced them to replay the State of the Union address over and over again. They have nothing else to talk about. If he had gone on television the next morning, the fake news would have twisted his words. They would have taken a single sentence, cut it out of context, and used it to change the subject. They desperately needed a distraction. They needed the public to forget the image of angry, bitter politicians refusing to stand for a booming economy. They needed people to forget about the secure borders, the lower taxes, and the incredible respect America now commands on the world stage. But the president did not give them that distraction. He starved them of the oxygen they needed to survive the news cycle. Instead, he gave them pure silence. And in that silence, the radical left is completely melting down. They are arguing with each other on national television. Their party leaders are struggling to explain why they opposed policies that are clearly helping everyday American workers. The silence has created an absolute vacuum, and the opposition is rushing in and making complete fools of themselves. The American people are watching the fake news. Networks crumble in real time, all because the man in charge simply decided to stop talking. This is pure, unadulterated political genius at work. The administration knows that the numbers speak for themselves. The stock market is soaring. Families are bringing home more money. Communities are safer than they have been in decades. When the results are this undeniable, you do not need to constantly defend them. The work is done, the speech was flawless, and the trap was sprung. But letting the opposition destroy their own credibility is only the first phase of this incredible strategy. The second phase of this silence is about what is being prepared right now behind the scenes, and it is going to send absolute shockwaves through the entire Washington establishment while the media is busy chasing their own tails and trying to fill the dead air. The administration is not just sitting back and watching the show. They are actively weaponizing this quiet period. You see, when the cameras are off and the press briefing room is empty, the real work of dismantling the deep state goes into absolute overdrive. The president went silent because he is currently signing off on a mountain of new actions that will fundamentally change the game. They want you to think the silence means inactivity or exhaustion. In reality, it is the exact opposite. It is a massive, brilliant smokescreen. Without the daily distractions of press conferences, without the fake news reporter screaming ridiculous questions, the team in the Oval Office is finalizing the most aggressive America First policies we have ever seen. We are talking about massive rollbacks of horrible regulations that have strangled businesses for decades. We are talking about finalizing plans to expose deep corruption that the Washington establishment has kept hidden for years. The insiders are just now starting to catch on, and that is exactly why the panic is reaching a boiling point in the nation's capital. They suddenly realize that while they were obsessing over the lack of interviews, the president was outflanking them entirely. He is using this exact moment to quietly organize the next phase of the massive economic boom. New trade deals are being finalized behind closed doors. Corrupt, lazy bureaucrats are being shown the door without any warning. The swamp is being drained at record speed, and the media cannot even report on it properly because they are completely frozen by the sudden quiet. This is exactly how a true legendary business master operates. You do not telegraph your next move to your competitors. You do not tell the enemy where you are going to strike next. You let them guess. You let them sweat. You let them exhaust all their energy trying to predict your strategy. And right now, the entire political establishment is sweating bullets because they know that when the silence finally breaks, it will be with a roar that they simply cannot stop. But the trap gets even deeper than just new policies and executive actions. The third reason for this massive silence involves a brilliant setup for the upcoming election. And it is something the fake news fears more than anything else in the entire world. Here is the ultimate truth about the silence that the mainstream media is completely missing. The entire country is watching the most brilliant election strategy ever created. By stepping out of the spotlight right now, the president is forcing the radical left to take center stage. And when the radical left takes center stage, they show the American voters exactly how extreme and dangerous they really are. Think about it carefully. Without the president there to attack every single day, the Democrats have no one left to fight but themselves. They are turning on each other in public. The radical socialists in the party are demanding completely insane policies, and the regular politicians are terrified to stop them. They're talking about destroying the energy industry, raising taxes through the roof, and taking away hard-earned money to fund their crazy projects because the president is completely quiet. The cameras have nowhere else to point but directly at this total madness. The citizens are sitting at home, looking at their screens, and watching the opposition completely self-destruct. This is the ultimate contrast, and it is the exact trap that was set on the night of the State of the Union. On one side, there is a president who delivered a massive message of wealth, success, and American dominance. and then simply went back to the Oval Office to work hard for the people. On the other side, there is a party of chaos, screaming at the sky and offering nothing but anger and division. The voters see the difference perfectly. The silence makes the contrast sharper than any television commercial or political advertisement ever could. When a true leader wants to win a massive victory, that leader does not just tell people that the opponent is crazy. The leader hands the opponent the microphone, steps back, and lets them prove it to the entire world. That is exactly what is happening right now. The quiet is a weapon of mass political destruction, but there is another massive piece to this puzzle. The silence is also about controlling the exact timing of the next big bombshell, and what is coming next will shatter the fake news networks for good. Consider the exact science of timing. In the modern world of 24-hour news, attention spans are incredibly short. The fake news machine constantly needs fresh outrage to keep their dying ratings alive. By starving them of that outrage, the president has effectively hijacked their entire system. Right now, every single network executive, every political reporter, and every talking head is sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting for the next big statement, the next press release, or the next massive rally. They are completely addicted to the enormous audience that only Donald Trump can deliver. This creates a level of anticipation that money simply cannot buy. It is exactly like the moments right before a massive thunderstorm breaks. The air gets incredibly heavy, the world gets very quiet, and everyone knows something huge is about to happen because the president has been totally silent. The entire country is completely focused on what he will do next. He is commanding the attention of the entire globe without speaking a single word. When he finally decides to drop the next massive piece of news, the impact will be multiplied 1,000 times over. And make no mistake, the next bombshell is already loaded and ready to drop. The administration is holding on to information that will completely devastate the Washington establishment. It involves the total declassification of documents that the deep state has tried to hide for many years. It involves the absolute exposure of corruption at the highest levels of the political swamp. By holding this back and letting the tension build, the president ensures that when the truth finally comes out, there will be absolutely no way for the fake news networks to ignore it or sweep it under the rug. They will be forced to cover it because they are desperate for the ratings. He has trapped them in their own greed. This is a flawless masterclass in media manipulation by a man who understands the press better than they understand themselves. The silence is the ultimate buildup for the absolute reckoning that is about to hit the corrupt politicians. But there is one more hidden layer to this incredible strategy, and it involves the massive army of everyday citizens who are watching this entire event unfold perfectly. Now, let us look at the most powerful piece of this massive puzzle. Let us talk about the incredible, hardworking people of this amazing country. And the ultimate reason for this brilliant silence is to completely activate the massive movement of regular citizens. When the mainstream media is screaming and the president is quietly working, something beautiful happens. The American people start looking past the noise. They start doing their own research. They start talking to their neighbors, their friends, and their families without the daily television distractions. The absolute truth becomes perfectly clear to everyone who is paying attention. The fake news networks always want to tell you exactly how to think and exactly how to feel. They desperately want to control the entire narrative from their fancy studios in New York and Washington. But by taking a massive step back, the president has stripped away their power and handed it directly back to the voters. The silent majority is no longer silent. They are seeing the incredible job numbers with their own eyes. They are feeling the absolute security in their communities. They are experiencing the massive economic benefits in their own wallets. And they are realizing that everything the corrupt media told them was a complete and total lie. This carefully planned quiet period is building an absolute army of everyday patriots because the commander in chief is holding his fire. The loyal supporters are stepping up to proudly defend these massive victories. You see it spreading on social media, you hear it in the local coffee shops, and you feel the ground shaking across the entire nation. The movement is growing stronger every single minute because it is built on solid, real results, not just hollow political speeches. The people are taking absolute ownership of this beautiful American comeback. This is exactly how a true, unstoppable grassroots revolution operates. The establishment politicians are completely terrified because they know they absolutely cannot control millions of awakened citizens. They can try to silence one leader, but they can never stop an entire country that has finally seen the light. And as this incredible energy continues to build behind the scenes, the final, most devastating phase of this brilliant strategy is just about to begin. It is the exact move that will guarantee a historic victory, and the deep state is entirely powerless to stop what is coming next. Here is the absolute climax of this incredible, brilliant strategy. The final phase is about dropping the ultimate hammer when the establishment is completely and totally exhausted. For weeks, the fake news networks and the radical politicians have spent all of their energy fighting invisible ghosts. They have chased completely fake scandals. They have argued endlessly with each other on national television. And they have entirely drained their own political resources. They are tired. They are completely confused. And they are entirely out of ideas. And that is exactly the perfect moment. The massive silence will finally break. When the president returns to the absolute center of the spotlight, he will not just be speaking to the cameras, he will be bringing the ultimate receipts. He will bring the full, unstoppable force of the greatest economic boom the world has ever seen. He will bring the undeniable proof of secure borders, safe cities, and massive international victories that no one else could achieve. The silence was never a retreat. It was never a sign of weakness or fatigue. It was the ultimate brilliant reload. He stepped back to let the corrupt Washington swamp expose itself, and now he is stepping forward to finish the job once and for all. Is the absolute panic inside the nation's capital is completely real right now because the insiders know exactly what this means for the massive upcoming election. It will not even be a close contest. What is coming is a historic, undeniable, absolutely massive landslide that will completely shatter the fake news machine forever. The media elites will be forced to sit behind their expensive desks and report on their own total defeat on the sec live television. The deep state will be completely dismantled brick by massive brick because the American voters are fully awake and absolutely united behind this incredible America First movement. The trap has completely closed. The brilliant setup is entirely finished. The quiet period that drove the mainstream media absolutely crazy has served its perfect, beautiful purpose. The massive storm they have been terrified of is finally here, and the great American comeback is completely unstoppable. This is, without a doubt, the greatest political masterclass in human history, and you are watching it unfold perfectly right before your very eyes. The silent majority is roaring, the master plan is completely finished, and the absolute best is still yet to come.